Hey y'all, Terry and Mandy here, coming to you not live from Roslindale, and we hope everyone here is well.
We sure do, Mandy. We know we're doing well today.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, we're preparing for me to head right on out of town for close to 2 weeks down to our nation's capital for a little dog and house sitting gig.
And a much welcomed reprieve of living with each other.
We are almost giddy with excitement for the break that this is going to allow for both of us from each other.
It's like Christmas Eve. We sit here and I'm like, are you leaving yet? And Terry's just like packing. We have these big smiles on our faces. We start every day. I'd just like to give you another glimpse into our humble abode. We start every day with 2 minutes of smiles. Terry, why do we do that?
My teacher and mentor, Kenny Saws.
Good old Kenny Saws.
There's a guy I've listened to on Insight Timer for meditation and stuff. And anyway, he suggests he's got great advice. And if you want to know more about him, I could explain. That's not how he pronounces his name. We pronounce it that way as a joke. But anyway, one great piece of advice to living positively and being in a good vibrational mode is to start your day with 2 minutes of smiling. Enforcing it, like even if you are so miserable and you don't want to be doing it, to just freeze a freaking smile onto your face for 2 minutes, because
it actually is quite helpful.
Yeah.
And frankly,
it helps with the release of happy hormones.
It does. Yeah. And maybe that's why Terry and I have been able to live with each other, because we force smiles.
First thing in the morning. Like, I haven't even had a cup of coffee yet. And I really don't want to smile at Mandy, but we force 2 minutes of smile.
Yes. So, I mean, with that said, clearly we're very happy for Terry to get the heck out of Dodge. For 2 weeks.
So Spinster sisters are pretty thrilled today. So
that is
we're doing well, and we're doing great because we have a real treat to share with everyone today, right, Mandy?
That sure is correct, Teresa.
Yeah. We figured that there is a pretty obvious topic that we could cover from time to time here on this show. And that topic is dating stories from other spinsters, right?
Makes perfect sense.
You'll either find it fascinating and funny or totally boring. We get it. We are having some conversations with our friends to hear what they've encountered along the way on the general dating scene. Let's just get this out there right now. We get it. We're not technically spinsters. We do not fit the dictionary definition of spinsters because we're divorced. But the whole unmarried sisters or the single sisters in their 40s sort of names just did not quite have the same ring as
it didn't have quite the same alliteration as the old spinster sisters.
Yeah. So the people that we will be chatting with from time to time on this show, hey, King's saying hello. He hears us.
King's
recording.
like, I agree with you. Spinster sisters is 1000% accurate.
Yeah, that was a bark in agreement. So the people that we're going to be chatting with are women that fit the following criteria. They have been dating into their 40s or 50s.
Okay.
They can be any marital status, like they can be never married or divorced, or they could be moms that are single now, whatever. All of them will be familiar with dating while older. On today's show, you're going to hear interviews with two guests, and these are proper spinsters, all right? They've never been married.
Yes.
And they're coming to us representing both North and south of Boston.
We got it all covered. It's good that we're really representing both sides so no one will take offense. So that said, we're going to start with our neighbor, Tricia. Tricia is one of our wall buddies. She lives right around the corner from us and is part of the neighborhood crew. She basically made Oktoberfest happen.
Yeah, I would not have got off. Like, she got mugs made and got all these games and things. Yeah, so she
charged us for the mugs, but whatever.
They weren't free.
Tricia. Those were these. I have my coffee every morning in my mug, so it's awesome. Tricia's friend Lisa joined her for moral support. We thought maybe we'd get some of Lisa's stories too, but she didn't want to tell any, and God love her. I don't really blame her.
Who could blame her? I mean, there's so many people listening to this that chances are if she started telling stories from around here, someone that she knows would hear.
Yeah. I mean, we are famous and everything.
Got to protect the innocent. Mm-hmm. On that note, we're going to be talking to Tricia, and we conducted a sort of post-mortem type of conversation as she tells us about her wild and now defunct COVID romance.
Enjoy.
We invited a couple of local ladies over. We've got Trisha and Lisa. These are good friends. They often get mistaken for a couple because they're together and hang out a lot.
Kind of like us.
Now, Tricia, I believe you're from the mean streets of West Roxbury. And Lisa, I believe you're a local Rossi native, yes? All right.
I wasn't a very good kid, and Lisa turns out to be a goody two-shoes.
So your paths never crossed because you didn't run into each other in the police station then in
the
circle, at the Holy Name Circle.
Police station, having my father been a cop.
Your dad
So
was a
I just
cop?
left places earlier so that I didn't get caught.
Oh, because you knew how
Okay.
the game works. You just know how
Right.
this is going to
I
work.
also don't run, so running out of the quarries was not ideal for me.
Okay. You would walk out of the quarries about 40 minutes before the cops would show up to bust everybody else. Yes.
And
Right.
by walk, we mean strut.
During the
Lisa.
pandemic, we had some adventures, and I tried to make her walk through the quarries with me.
I actually wonder, is that a good place to start? Do you have any stories from the quarries?
Well, no, nothing special, because I told you I used to leave really early. I did not make out in the quarries.
All right.
I feel like that would be a really
I mean, I
romantic
might have
place.
slept with a guy down the street in the cemetery,
Right. Well, that's what we're talking about.
but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. That had nothing to do with the quarries.
They're like a whole quarter mile apart from each other.
Yeah.
Trisha and Lisa were vital in the best of quarantine in the redacted street
A little late.
party. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And just said, well, I want to bring it up because Trisha complained about it, but that aside,
I
they
did.
were vital.
And we give her the props that she deserves.
And
that she-
Lisa's dessert.
Oh
shots.
my God.
Can we discuss those?
The
for
wall
a
drinks,
second?
guys, everyone, that all of our fans,
Amazing.
listen, these two made it happen. It's all outside Trisha's back door. And Lisa always showed up with the most
only
delicious desserts, like with
And they
peanut
were-
butter. There's always peanut butter and chocolate involved.
That's right.
Peanut butter.
Yeah.
You had me at the Reese's Pieces, Lisa, and your desserts.
That's fun. First and
Talk, I'm
foremost,
sorry.
I just wanted to say how much of an honor it is to actually
Get
be
closer. Get closer. Everyone wants to hear you talk about the honor it is.
possibly the only real spinster in the neighborhood.
I feel like it was more you didn't want to marry anybody.
You didn't settle, Trisha. That's what it means.
True, I did it.
We're going to start off with this. Are any of the local dudes that you people have dated still single, and do you still have their numbers?
I don't think any of mine are. I mean, except for
That's
other than DD. I mean, DD may never have actually been single. He may have been married the entire time.
Yeah, we don't know.
I
All right, so maybe that's a nice desperate attempt at Trisha's sloppy
Totally.
seconds. So that's cool.
tried. All right. So what would you say was the most horrifying or shocking dating story?
No, the only thing that comes to mind initially is I was waiting for a guy on a date. He texted me he was going to be a half hour late. Stupidly, I was at the West, but conveniently. I texted Lisa. I said, I'm waiting for a half hour. Why don't you just come by for a drink? So she met me for a drink. He got there. She stayed for probably half the date. Asked way more poignant questions than I ever would have.
Well, good friend. then.
And it was perfect because I had to use the ladies' room. When I got back, I saw on my way back that he was doing some form of calisthenics,
At the bar.
stretching and such.
Okay, that's
Inside
totally
the bar.
normal.
Yeah.
Hot.
And then slapping his eye, what is it? Is it Apple Watch?
Yeah.
Repeat every time it went off. He would aggressively slap it.
Oh my God.
It was a lot. And then we were looking at
pretty
the
intense.
menu. It was a lot. And then looking at the menu, there was a Buddha bowl on the menu. And he was like, oh, I had a Buddha bowl once and I lost it in the divorce. We were like,
Okay. You're like, all right, check, please.
a bunch of things that kept coming back to when he was married.
But yeah, that's not a good way to go, buddy.
Well, I mean, first of
No.
all, he's late. Then he's doing
Right.
calisthenics. And then he brings up a Buddha bowl that he lost in the
And he's
divorce. I feel
violently
like-
slapping his wrist with the. I mean, come
Violently,
on.
Oh, that's
slap-
right.
I was like, wow, that's
Yeah, I mean, those were already 3 strikes, but then he does the apple slap. Or can we call it the apple slap from now on?
we absolutely can call it
The apple slap.
Yes.
Wait, he got weird after Lisa left? Is my question.
I'm not
What?
really sure when she left. It may have been more than half.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if
Okay.
the guy's going to make you wait a half hour, I think it's a
That's
valid
all right,
reason to
yeah.
ask someone to hang out.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us about general short-term relationships that have gone on in the past few years?
I mean, do we want to get into the Dentist Debacle? Closest and nearest and dearest to my heart situation. Very fast. Met for a walk on a Saturday afternoon. And then he wanted to continue the date into the evening. And I said, sorry, I have plans. We had an afternoon date. Definitely a little butthurt about it. So I was like, well, I mean, we can hang out again. So then we hung out
Monday.
the next day, which was Sunday night. Yeah. And then he was over my house Monday after work, Tuesday after work, Wednesday after work. And then that ensued for 2 weeks.
It was Insta
Oh, maybe it
boyfriend.
was after the first. Yeah, Insta boyfriend, Insta husband.
Roommate,
Mm.
everything.
Yeah, I
Insta
was
husband.
definitely I was a replacement wife is what I was, what I realized. There's a reason why the actual wife probably doesn't want him anymore.
One of many.
Lots of reasons, yeah.
Tell us more about that.
After the first 7 days we were sitting on my patio, he said, I can't believe I've been here for 7 days straight. I said, I know. And I only ever invited you over for 2 of them. And he was like, you're the meanest person. You are so mean. And I was like, I'm not being mean. It's just the truth. I said, you are welcome, but you basically told me you were coming over. I didn't ask you to come over. I mean,
like that's
shortly
a bit-
after that, as you know, we lost power like a week or so later.
That was right before
And
the
then-
the utility
that
pole
time.
drama of Redacted Street.
Because we got to meet him
Yeah.
for 5 seconds.
Right. So everything was on fast forward because then I should have known right away because probably the second week we had people on the wall on a Friday night and he met everyone quickly, then came in the house, but then felt as though he had been fully interrogated by Lisa. And
I mean,
Which
Yeah, well, you know
was
what?
probably
You're
true.
enjoy
Right?
it.
You're a good friend.
I
You
mean,
got
it
to
might
screen
have
him.
been right, but some of it was just conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Right.
Well,
any normal guy would probably take the questions and understand that it's a good friend just finding out the info. But
Yeah.
because he's so shady, he lost his shit. And I was like, I mean, I've only known you. Well, whose side are you taking? I was
oh
like,
my
well,
God.
I just know where she's coming from and you're being real weird about it. So
He was also slightly offended that I wasn't quite impressed with his muscles as much as he wanted me to be.
Oh,
Right.
that's totally
After he
yeah.
asked me to feel his arm.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Which-
So like the first time he's meeting one of your good friends, he asks you to feel his
Yep.
arm muscles. Here's
Yeah,
here's my
that's all you want.
I'm like,
biceps.
oh
Here.
yeah, you work out. Well,
Feel my
because he
pipes,
talks
yeah.
about his arms and his muscles 90% of the time.
Pretty much.
I mean, if he wasn't talking about the ex-wife, the lawyers, the money, the work he wasn't getting anymore,
How amazing he is.
that yeah, right. Then he would start talking about how good he is at his work and how big his muscles are. And but then it would be like, oh, am I getting? Maybe I'm getting a little too small. I don't know. Maybe I need to like up it at the gym. And I didn't go to the
Fishing.
gym. I've just been doing push-ups. And then he'd be like, hey, babe, I'm cooking dinner. He's like, babe, can you come count for me while I'm doing push-ups? I said,
What?
no, I hate you.
He needs. No, I hate you.
Can
Wait,
you
sorry.
come
So he
count
was
while I do
unable to
push-ups?
count.
And he would stand and look in the mirror constantly and point out his muscles. I'm like, do you understand how unattractive it is that you're doing this? I said, yes, you're attractive. Yes, I like your muscles, but I don't want to talk about them 90% of the time. And he didn't really seem to understand.
He couldn't understand that.
And he's a good-looking 53-year-old man. So I give him that.
Which he also lied about.
Right,
What did he-
online. Yep.
Oh.
He lied about.
Online said 50. Online said 50.
Shady already.
But right. So I called him on it immediately and he admitted it. And he was like, oh, I don't know. My friend did it for me, like set it up for me. I don't know how to do these things, whatever.
She wanted him too.
Karen. Yeah, she looks like a potato.
Wait, this is his friend who
Um,
set him who created his online dating profile. Karen wanted him too.
Yeah.
Karen.
Okay.
I mean,
Wanted him. Yep.
what I've come to realize is that the entire group of people that he knows are like the underbelly of society that nobody really needs to know.
Eva. Wait, and this is just so we're all clear too. This is the person we refer to as the German. Yes,
German.
The German.
Are we allowed
okay.
to say
The German was hot. The German, as I told you guys on the porch during the blackout, which then I blacked out.
This was like a hot and heavy romance, and we remember when you met the German, and we remember how quickly this, and you even knew these red flags that were flying all over the place. Like, every time
But-
we'd be,
She collects them. She collects them.
This is what I've come to
cool.
learn. If life was a video game and the goal was to collect red flags, I'm winning.
Winning.
yes,
Winning. My house is wallpapered in red flags.
red
With
flags.
red flags. Nice.
I love
That's
this.
why you don't see them anymore because they're everywhere.
But this romance went on for a few months. Yeah.
Well, it depends. Day to day, they were together.
The
broken up.
actual,
He's never calling again.
yeah,
I
right.
hate you guys.
I'm never
the
talking to him
first
again. And
time-
then she's asking him to come over the next day.
Well, I mean,
No, I never asked. That's the beauty of it. He would tell me he was coming.
and you wouldn't say no because again,
so
that would be rude.
There were times, because then, but do you remember, I remember texting you being like, well, he is coming over. And then I'd be like, oh, scratch that. He already argued with me on the way over. I told him to go fuck himself and turn around.
How about the laundry basket?
The fight on the way over.
The laundry basket? So after the first couple of weeks, there was a lot of clothing that started to accumulate in my house.
Because he moved in.
And then I would start, all of a sudden it became my laundry as well. So not only was I cooking dinner, but if I ever brought up the fact that I cooked dinner, he'd be like, I bring takeout over too.
I mean, takeout is clearly the same as you
cooking.
A nice dinner. Yep. In a nice house.
And having his laundry folded nicely and put on a shelf.
You're like the domestic goddess.
Yeah.
I am. And then, but then he would get pissed. He would get bullshit. And he had brought his own laundry basket here. So that he'd be like, oh, fuck this shit. And pack all of his stuff in his laundry basket. I'm never going to come back here. And he'd storm out the door. And I'd be like, okay, well, see you later. and then
I'm not coming back until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Legit. The next day, he'd come over after work in tow with the laundry basket. Then I'm like, it's weird that your laundry basket's back with you. It was amazing. Everything about it. So I told one of my girlfriends recently the entire story. And she was like, I've known you almost my entire life. And for everything else that you've been through, how did you put up with this nonsense? I said, I'm not really sure. I don't know. Yeah, right. Yeah. It was a pandemic. I had needs. Yeah. And then honestly, it was really, I think by the time it really came down to it, it was like a train wreck that I couldn't stop watching or participating in.
Because we watched, you were watching and participating in the train wreck that was happening. Yeah. Right.
You couldn't stop. It was like too comical, too ridiculous that it was almost like I wanted to see what would happen next.
My next follow-up question to you, Tricia, about the German. I'd like you to confirm or deny, was a large iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts thrown at somebody on Redacted Street?
No, I didn't throw the coffee. I threw his Dunkin' Donuts sandwiches that were in 2 separate bags.
Totally. That's right. I forgot. The coffee wasn't thrown.
I was hopping out of the giant truck telling him that I was sick of his shit. I think I may have also picked up an empty cigarette pack and threw that also. And then that got thrown back at me and I picked it up and threw it back at him.
I believe that we saw one of us. I think I was there when it happened. Is that after?
Sandy, you saw it. Yeah,
it's right. All I saw was the truck gun it down Redacted Street afterwards, and I'm like, oh, what? Something happened here? Is everybody okay? Yeah. Oh, good times.
And then I came around the corner after because I jumped out of the truck in front of your house. So I came around the corner and you were like, was that just Dennis? I go, yeah. And you were like, oh God, what happened? So then I regaled you with like an hour-long story.
That was,
but then I still did it to myself for longer after.
That's okay. Cause I was going to say, how did it ultimately end? Like it was just sort of like petered on for so long, right? It was just like one of those things, slow burn till it fizzled out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause then
it would keep resurfacing. It would be like, okay, finally we made 3 days and no communication. And then he was back in.
Cause then I would get a call and he'd be like,
right back in there.
Listen, Trish, the sale of the house is going to be final soon. And I'm finally going to be done with the divorce. Everything's going to get sorted out. The court case will be over. He's like, I need you to come and talk to me and like read the papers and like look through the paperwork for me. Because I know that you will tell me. He's like, I know you'll be objective and you can tell me exactly what I should do and how I should handle it. And I go, you should talk to your real estate friend who's also married that knows about these things. And he said, no, but I know that you'll be the bitch that you are and tell me exactly the way that it should be. Like, you'll just be dead honest. And I was like, thanks. I will be honest. And he said, okay, so do you think that you can meet me for dinner next week and look over the paperwork? So I said, hey, listen, I said, why don't you get your paperwork together and give me a call and let me know when everything is all set. And I'll let you know if I can meet you for dinner then. Well, you can't just say that you'll meet me for dinner next week. And I go, no, I can't.
Mind you, at this point, I don't think they had ever actually went out to dinner anywhere.
Correct.
Oh.
And it just kept getting shadier and shadier. And I'm not an idiot because I could see it. I watched it. I'm seeing it. And I'm waiting to see if he's going to prove my suspicions wrong. But he didn't. He'd be in the truck with his buddies on the phone with me, even on FaceTime. And he'd say some stupid shit. And I go, oh, you got your buddies in the car with you, don't you? And he'd go, oh, yeah, how do you always know? You're so smart. And then he'd look at his friend and go, she's a smart one. This one's a smart one. She always knows. I'm like, because you're actually too dumb to lie well.
And he also didn't really like to talk on the phone. We had to FaceTime only.
Always FaceTime.
Why?
But that's a classic. So
he wished he was.
He knew where. So he knew where I was when I was
Yeah.
doing. So
Oh my God. So you were like, is he really like this? And he just kept reconfirming after reconfirming after reconfirming each time that yes, he is.
he gave me his password for his phone. Maybe it happened after he had fallen asleep one night that I did dial in.
Maybe it did.
Maybe it did.
But then what did I say? I saw him talking to his ex-wife, asking if they still had a future together. And if they worked this together, then they were unstoppable.
And selfies of himself at the gym.
Then he also sent me that he sent for the same picture. So I'm like, you're a fucking lunatic. So, but I still went in for more because he sat down very nicely and he was like, I just have to keep her on my good side. I'm just telling her what she wants to hear and yada, yada, yada. So I was like, all right, we'll see.
And the selfie at the gym was really for his 3-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
obviously.
Of course.
Wasn't for
Let me ask
Right,
you,
for
was
the
the selfie
mom.
at the gym his profile picture on the dating site?
No, he didn't have any gym photos on his profile. No, they were
Very
like
surprising.
normal.
Though.
That's
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah. But it's not surprising because his whole game was to make the very first person seem like this really nice, because the first couple of weeks he was this really nice guy that loved me, was like enamored and enjoyed all of this. Not all this, but
Well, no, I mean,
Oh yeah, all that. He wants a
my
piece of that.
790 square feet of Shangri-La. But then after that, it turned to like maniacal behavior.
it would have
And
been
like
an ID
just shady
discovery.
shit. Right, every time from then on that Lisa and I were going out, Dennis would want to hang out at my house while I was out.
And
Oh.
one of the time, most of the times, he would call before we even got off the street.
Yes. If I was
Oh,
picking
God.
Lisa up, I would be on the phone with him already. He would have already called me while I was
Oh.
driving to pick her up.
Well,
Oh.
it
Oh, and then it
does
was
sound-
beautiful because we broke up for sure well before New Year's. And then like a couple of days before New Year's, he's like, so are we going out for New Year's Eve or what? And I was like, what? No, I have plans. What are you talking about?
I feel like you dodged a bullet there
Yes.
because
Dodged
I
a
do
bullet.
honestly.
I think I went head on into
Well, you
the
got hit
bullet.
by this bullet
Yeah.
a couple times,
you
but
got- you
then
somehow
you got
survived.
out of the
He was
way
brave.
after a while.
You somehow survived being shot by a bullet. I feel like it's one of those things that you would have seen on ID Discovery, and you would have been
Did
gone.
you guys?
I just made it dark.
Did you guys ever? I'm sure you watched Sex in the City, yeah?
Yeah.
Susan Sharon was when the guy, she was like, you just have to be really quiet because my husband's home. And he's like, what are you doing?
Oh, yes.
Don't touch my CDs.
Yes.
But-
Have you dated anyone
but
else?
I really liked him.
I know you
Yeah,
did. We
well,
were.
And so now I started talking to some other guy that works nights, total opposite. So even he is like, we're going to do the opposite of 53 because now he calls the German 53 because he was 53. And of
Oh,
course, why wouldn't I tell the new guy that I'm dating about my
all about your
crazy
last
ex?
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Why
fantastic.
not?
Yeah,
Why
that
wouldn't
seems
you?
normal. Oh.
But yeah, so I don't talk to him very often. And who knows if it's even going to work out because he's either working or sleeping.
Did you meet this guy online?
Or talk. Yeah. Yes. Actually,
Which
I
app?
met
What are
him
your favorite
online.
apps?
Currently Tinder and Bumble.
Mhm.
And then I got back on Facebook dating just because my friend had mentioned something about it, and which is it's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know anything about it.
At least it's good for a laugh. Listen,
Yeah.
it's all about the next red flag. The last time I saw him was on Valentine's Day, which wasn't really
Oh, Jesus.
ideal. Right. Well,
He did bring her a flower. It's still alive.
it was.
Oh.
It was me. It might have been the cutest and saddest thing I've ever seen because he showed up with candy, a couple of cards, and a flower. So I went to take the flower out of the plastic box that I was in, and I pulled the fucking head off by accident. And he was like, "Oh, good job." And I go, "It's okay, I can fix it." And he goes, "What do you mean? Isn't it real?" And I go, "No." And he was like,
I
No.
thought he goes, I thought it was real. He goes, the lady at the store just lied to like 3 guys. I go, what store? He said, CVS. I go, yeah, it's not real. But
Oh,
the gesture,
okay.
bless
Yeah,
him.
this-
Bless.
was
Exactly.
How old is this guy?
47.
Oh, I thought
Okay.
you were going to say 24, and I'm like, whoa.
We're like,
And I was
nice
gonna be
one,
like, you're-
Cougar. Nice.
Yeah.
Been
47.
there,
All right, that's
done
good.
that.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that.
I know I did.
You probably won't be surprised to know that we were on the line with Trisha and Lisa much longer than this snippet.
And enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, but some of that stuff was just not intended for all audiences, so we had some editing to do.
Yeah. Again, like you've said before, protect the innocent. Next, we will bring you a conversation with Sarah. Sarah's a good kid.
Yeah.
She's sassy, she's wicked smart, super fun, and therefore we like to hang out with her.
Yep.
Terry and I will bombard her with vital questions about today's dating world.
Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We are thrilled to have you on the Spencer Sisters. And you are fun and awesome, and this is why we invited you here today. Okay, so please don't disappoint the audience.
Pressure's building.
Pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
Oh,
And
the
we
old
just
sweet and sassy.
So, as you know, we're just sort of here to get your take on what it's like to be on the market at 40 and what it's like to be sowing one's wild oats into their 40s.
So fun.
Not that I'm suggesting you're just going around sowing wild oats all over the place, but
I
know,
might be.
if you
might
are,
be.
then we're jealous.
We're going to chat about that. So your particular geographic experience is north of Boston, correct? You're in Melrose. Will you confirm this, Sarah, for the audience?
I am north of Melrose. It will be 6 years in April. And I have
Ooh.
dating stories from all over the, Northeast corridor. But
That's true. Not just the greater Boston area. For
not
the whole
just greater
Northeast.
Boston area. I can tell you about New Hampshire,
Oh,
New York City, Western Mass. That's a gem.
I
Whoa,
can imagine
Western
that's a
Mass.
gem.
Those
Mhm.
crazy stories, I tell you,
Mhm.
coming out of the mountains.
Yep. Coming out of that valley.
all the Berkshires. Oh, lots of crazy stuff out there. And hey, you lived in DC, so you're right. The
I
whole
did live in
Mid-Atlantic up
DC.
through the Eastern Seaboard. And I've talked to you and Molly quite a bit over the past couple of years about some of the random dates that you two have been on. Like you guys have stories, but
We've dated. We've had a few.
I don't think you're unfamiliar with dating apps. We
I'm
want to
not
know.
unfamiliar.
We want to know your favorite and least favorite
That is
apps.
Oof. Let's see. I've definitely used probably most of them. Bumble, Tinder, OkCupid, Match, Hinge. I don't know what I'm missing. I don't think I really ever had much luck with Hinge. I can't say I really have a favorite, but I feel like Tinder and OkCupid are probably attract a wider audience, so a little more variety there. Easy to use. Everything has gone towards
user friendly. Yeah.
User friendly. Everything has gone towards the swipe though. Back in the old days, which is crazy to think that I was using a dating app in my mid-20s, but Match was like you would search for people and then reach out and write messages. And now everything is like swipe, 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 and you have to match with someone and then you can connect.
Isn't it weird? I feel like almost the dating apps, it's like a resume.
Yeah.
It's so awkward to make the profile. and
profile,
then literally, I feel so not shallow, but when
Yeah,
I'm looking
shallow
at some-
probably.
Yeah, shut up. But yeah, like it's like, okay, I'm just going to sit. I know nothing about you. I'm just going to swipe right because I don't like your face.
Yeah, exactly. So now you have to, you have to both swipe right to be connected. And that's when the conversation starts.
So there's an initial shallow screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would
And
say my
it's
least favorite is Bumble because so that one, the woman has to write first. And this could be a personal opinion of mine, but I feel like it attracts the kind of guy that maybe does not have the most initiative.
Yeah.
And
Oh, okay. Like if you're looking
that-
for a type who might be able to take charge, you don't think they're going to be on. They're
I don't
less
think they're
inclined
going to go on
Bumble.
Bumble.
That
Exactly.
makes sense. Like the Bumble, the idea of it is good because it's like, I am a woman, I'm going to be in control of it. But that's a really good point.
The whole like planning a date, the communication can be really wishy-washy on a dude's part. They
Totally.
just can't get their shit together.
Mhm.
So kind of
You just want them to take charge with that
someone,
sort of thing, right?
Exactly.
Yes, I'm
or
with
at least
you on
like
that.
have some
100%.
ideas,
Yes.
Seriously, have some
Totally
ideas.
agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Plenty of
Have a
fishes
thought in
the
your
river
head.
getting.
Yes.
What criteria do you have when screening?
Good question. I am shallow and I look at height. So I am 5'9", and I would prefer that someone be my height or taller.
I don't think
And
that's shallow.
Nope.
Well,
don't
maybe a
either.
little, but yeah, I look for that. Not necessarily top priority, but I will swipe left if I see someone who's like 5'5".
Question. Do you think that the heights that these boys list are their actual heights?
That's a very good question. And especially, I think when they're kind of around my height, like in the 5'7" to 5'10" range, they can lie sometimes.
Yes.
I think once you've hit the 5'11", 6 foot, you're good. But when you're in that sort of like mid range, I feel like there's some rounding up that happens. It hasn't happened to me so much because I feel like I do screen on height, but I definitely have friends who have ended up on dates with people that they're like, yeah, we're the same height. So there's some lying with that, but.
All right, Sarah, the next couple of questions are the most serious ones we have. When you're screening and finding guys on apps, does he have to look like Charlie Baker?
The older, the better.
Okay, that was the next question was, does he have to be as old as Charlie Baker?
I definitely, I am open to the 40 plus group,
try 60 plus, Sarah.
64. If Charlie Baker was on, I would swipe right, 100%.
Listen, Charlie Baker is a handsome man. Charlie.
He is a
He
handsome
really
man.
is.
Sarah has a thing for Charlie Baker.
You know what? You're only human. He's a handsome man.
That voice?
All right.
That voice just puts me in a trance.
You're just like hypnotized by Charlie Baker.
I am not the only one, believe me.
No, you're not.
You're
A lot
not.
of people share that view.
Yeah, I think he's getting a little tired though. This pandemic's wearing him down.
It is a tough job. All right. So yes, if he looked like Charlie Baker, that would be a plus. And the older, the better, says Sarah.
Older, the better. The more mature and the more, I like them rugged and a little rough looking. So yeah.
That's hot.
That's
I like
right.
it too.
Wait a minute.
Like
Actually, thank you for the reminder. So I've joined Sarah on her annual trips to Cuddy Hunk the past couple of summers. She's been doing it since she was a kid with her family. And now she has this epic trip every summer to Cuddy. And she has a type. There's definitely a type that she gravitates towards. And they're like rugged fisherman type. Yes.
There's this dude who's like mid 60s, not attractive, probably hasn't showered since 2009. And he runs the shell farm business on the island. And he comes walking down the street. I get a little nervous.
Oh, you're like giddy like a schoolgirl. You're like, here he comes.
So yeah, the older and rugged.
But there's a line though, like I want muscle tone. You don't want someone who's like flabby.
You don't want to be like Samantha in Sex and the City when she goes out with the dude that's much older than her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. There's a line.
Well, especially because you're still in your prime looking as hot as you are. Well, that's
Hottie
the
McGee.
thing. When we're a little bit older, we won't mind that.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on a date?
Thanks for asking. That is a great question. So I think this was maybe 4 summers. It will be 4 years ago. I matched with someone on Tinder who happened to be from the same town as me. We didn't know each other. I think we knew some folks in common. So we had a fun first date, good times, good laughs. We had some stuff in common. We planned a second date. I had a suspicion he may have been drinking before the date. He seemed a little bit, loosened up, if you will, when I got there. The drinks were flowing. Like we weren't exactly taking it easy. Had a couple, have dinner. Then we go across the street to have a nightcap, having a good time, sitting at the bar. All of a sudden he disappears and he goes into the bathroom. And he's there for a while. So I'm like, So I asked for the bartender. I'm like, can you check on him? So bartender checks on him. Bartender comes out and he's like, your friend had to leave. He's leaving. He ran out this side door that I was sitting at the bar, so I didn't notice. So this guy like exits on some side door. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like the guy just left without saying goodbye. So I run outside. Turns out, I don't know what happened in the bathroom, but this gentleman apparently realized he was super drunk or just was a hot mess, called his brother. His brother was there waiting in the car to pick him up. And so I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm sorry. My brother's a mess. I got to take him home. So I walk home and I'm livid. I'm like, what the hell? This guy can't even let me know that he has to go home.
Did he stick you with the bill?
Yeah. So I'm walking home and I'm just so pissed that he didn't tell me he was leaving or that, he didn't text me on his way home. Sorry, I had to leave. I was a mess. I'm angry. I don't hear anything for probably 2 or 3 months. And then I randomly am at work one day and I get a text. Sorry I wasn't in touch, but that night that we went out, I actually fell down the stairs and had a spinal injury, and I couldn't type until like this week.
Oh my God.
Oh my,
So
he
was,
couldn't
like,
type until then?
He was seriously injured, and then reached out being like, I hope you can forgive me. I didn't even know what to say. I was just like, well, I'm glad you're okay. You know, I think I said I was like seeing someone or something, but
I'm all set,
Yeah,
bro.
I'll
We don't
see.
need to go out again.
strange.
No, but I'm impressed because the thing is, you obviously drank this dude under the table.
That's true.
I mean, it's been done.
What about themes? Are there particular
Yeah.
themes you've seen on the market?
Oh, for sure. Just the whole, like, you know, when you're meeting someone, you're waiting for someone outside a restaurant, that whole, when you first see the person, like, what do you do? Do you hug? Do you shake
Super
their
awkward.
hand?
Yeah, it's like,
Do you,
hey.
hi, are you so-and-so?
How often do you find that the guy doesn't really look like his profile picture?
I haven't encountered that too much, to be honest. I know that some people have. I can usually tell if the pictures are super old, and I try to avoid that.
Sure.
But
I believe you
good
probably
screening.
are a good screener. Yeah, I believe, Sarah, that you don't waste time with. I know so many people that end up on these dates. Mandy, we know some people that end up on dates. You're like, how did you actually end up on a date with that person? Like, did you do
Yeah.
no screening? I mean,
you've got to filter. I mean,
Right.
otherwise you'd be really dealing with some stuff. Yeah. But the whole like initial meeting and then the goodbye as well. Like, are they going to hug you? Are they going to try to kiss you? You're in public usually. I feel like that has all kinds of awkward written all over it.
Side note, I have a fun story about post date. It was one of the most awkward dates I've ever been on in my life. No, I haven't been on many, so it was quite awkward. I'm not going to name
Mandy was
names
married
or
for
any
10 years, so
details.
that's the thing, you know.
Yeah, so I'm sure I'm awkward on dates because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I just wanted to get the heck out of the date because it was awkward. It was like pulling teeth, trying to have a conversation. It was at the end, I saw him like looking at me like he was going to kiss me. And I'm like, okay, bye. Just like ran out. He texted me afterward and he was like, I wish I was able to kiss you or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm all set. But instead I just ghosted. I don't know. I haven't matured yet in how to end So what do you do to
That's a great question.
I know.
So
To
that's
end it or
another, I would
whatever.
say another theme is ghosting. And I am not a fan, and I've definitely been ghosted. And I usually try to be honest and upfront. My friends and I have sort of coined a line or a sentence or two that is stock, nice getting to know you, but I don't feel a connection. You don't need to go into excuses, but just
You could cut and paste that template from a bunch of messages out to other people. I get
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Tweak as you see fit.
You know what? Dudes appreciate that. Women, I think we sit around trying to think about how to not hurt people's feelings and to come up with all these roundabout things to say rather than I'm just not interested. I'm sorry. And dudes appreciate that direct. I'm not a dude expert, but what I've learned in my many years on this earth is they can handle that black and white business. Not interested. All right, cool.
Are you allowed to ghost after one date?
I think you are. Texting back and forth, and it's either they're texting too much and it's annoying, or they're not texting enough and you're like, what the hell's going on? And
Right.
the misinterpretation of
And
text.
yes.
And it's like that you need the instant response because text is available. It's like, why hasn't he replied yet? It's been 30
Right.
seconds after I sent this text.
Well, see, I'm the opposite though. Mandy's like that. Mandy's on the instant reply text. I'm the one who sees a text come in and will often forget to reply, which I think both of you know, I do that a lot. Or I want to think about my reply. I'm a little more intentional than Mandy's like knee jerk response. So I'm okay with a bit of a, it's true. I'm better with a delay. And also just to keep in mind, everyone's different with their texting, right?
That's true.
You know, there are some guys that are like really hysterically funny over text that can write novels and you're just laughing. And then ones that are just like, I use text as a mode to communicate one-liners. And both are okay, right? Sarah, what's the weirdest thing you ever said or texted to a dude?
Oh my God. Oh, it's too funny. Okay. So I dated someone like right before COVID. So I think it was our second date. The first date was like totally tame. And then our second date, we stayed out all night and had a great time. And I didn't have his phone number. He had mine, but I did not have his. And so we're messaging each other through the app at 3 a.m, just like, oh, I had a great time. It was so fun. Thanks for staying out with me. And I'm like, I wrote something like, P.S. You should text me. I won't be crazy. And
oh wait, I think you said I promise I'm not crazy or
right,
something.
yeah, it was something like, I promise I won't be crazy. And then I would say a mere 6 hours later, he texted me and was like, "Oh, good morning. Just wanted to see how your day is going."
Oh, well, that was nice.
I remember you.
I think we went to brunch the next day.
Yeah,
maybe.
you, me, and Liz were at brunch, and you
Yeah,
were recounting it, and it was actually a wildly hysterical, entertaining brunch, I think. And you're telling the story, and what I loved about the dynamic when you were telling us, and look at you, and Liz goes immediately, and God bless her, this is how she is. She's like that immediate, fierce, loyal, like, no, I think it's fine. It's fine. What you said, that's no problem.
It's not
And
fine.
I was like, I don't think you should have texted that, but I think you could recover from this. Like, I was just
Right, I
gonna be
remember
honest.
that.
You could recover, but let's be honest here. At the end of the day, you may be single, but you are happy and you haven't settled.
No,
Mandy,
not
what are we
settling.
going to say in the immortal words of Destiny's Child? The shoes on your feet,
She bought it.
the clothes she's wearing,
She bought it.
the rock she's rocking.
She bought it.
So
All
if this
right.
podcast
That
doesn't work
really
out, you're
at all,
obviously
Terry.
going to be singers.
Obviously, Destiny's
We
Child.
sound just like them, and don't tell
Yeah.
us that we don't.
There you have it.
Mm-hmm.
We hope you enjoyed our tales of two spinsters, Tricia and Sarah.
We love them.
We thank them both very much for laying bare their private lives for the entertainment of our audience. Seriously, thank you guys.
Yes, and thank you all for joining us. And until next time,
Deuces.
Deuces.
Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to the Spinster Sisters podcast on Apple or Google Podcasts or Spotify. And please follow us on social media.
where our Twitter handle is @SistersSpinster. You can also find us on Instagram @The Sisters Spinster and on Facebook @The Spinster Sisters Podcast. You can also email us at thespinstersisterspodcast@gmail.com. Bye.